Welcome to our live stream of high school sports. Please note that this broadcast is produced by an independent team of sports enthusiasts, and the views, opinions, and commentary expressed are solely those of the commentators and not representative of the schools, teams, or athletes featured. While we strive for accuracy, occasional errors or misstatements may occur. This stream is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Thank you for joining us and enjoy the show.
Yeah, come on, let's go. Hey, you ain't never seen nothing like this. Ain't no telling how it might get. It's the hypest right here. High school sports at its finest. So many highlights, you have to rewind it. Hey, Stream City, let me just remind you. The heart of a lion, a team full of fighters. So many stars on the field, it'll blind you. They're giving everything they got till the time's up. Yeah, legends in the making. History is made. We just getting started. You ain't seen a thing. YSN, gotta know the name. They gon' bring the flames. They gon' do their thing. Take it to another level, don't hold back. High school, got a passion and we show that. Got the drive and you know they got the heart. Number one spot for your high school sports. Let's go for the win. Hey.
Hey, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, on this 26th day of January 2026. DJ Yoakley, Anthony Ronald Hartwig, and the professor, Mr. Greg McAfee, here with you on this, boy, a little bit chilly Monday, and one that, let's just start off with this, boys, just letting the world know, just pinning it out there. Everything on YSN other than this particular program, which absolutely sucks, has been suspended for the day. And why are we doing that? Well, we had to make a judgment call, which we talked about last night on our private kind of what would you call that? Just a
call,
executive meeting.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So we don't know a lot of times. We don't get the communication of, hey, this game is happening and this game is not. Some schools, some athletic directors, very good. The other ones are busy. All of them are busy. But the reality is we don't want someone on YSN, our crew, a family member, whoever, to go somewhere and something happened terribly and tragedy strikes and the game didn't happen in the first place. So we're just saying that we are canceling suspending all of our live broadcasts for today, this evening. And we will let you know when we resume. Naturally, we think it's going to be tomorrow, but with some cool temperatures, as you can check out on Storm Tracker 21, maybe not. So we'll just see. The snow seems to have stopped, and I'm not a meteorologist by any stretch of the imagination. But guys, when you think about this is some of the things that we've talked about before. Is just because school is canceled doesn't mean the events that follow that school day are canceled. And we've talked about it before, and I'd like to get into it a little bit today about your thoughts on when these games should be canceled. Obviously, safety is the main priority of every school district, but there is also a revenue that's connected to it, and then just a scheduling mess that's attached to it as well. Anthony, we'll start with you. For you, when does it need to be canceled? When should it be canceled? Should there be a kind of coverall for all of these games connected to cancellation of school in that particular day or the following day?
It's funny how it's kind of grown over because when I was in school, and I'm sounding like when I was a kid, but when I was in school, and it wasn't that long ago, 2011, like 15 years ago.
Yeah, it is long ago. Good try.
In the big picture, it's not that long.
Good effort. Hey, 15 years. Yeah, you're old now, dude. Good effort. Golden Buckeye cards on the way.
Basically, no matter where you were, if the school was closed, the game was canceled. You kind of just knew, like, hey, we're closed, and we're going to cancel the game. It's not that way anymore. Now it's like school is closed, but if we can get that, parking lot shoveled, or if the streets look a little bit better, We can still have a game, yeah. Or if the temperatures get warmer because it was really too cold in the morning to go anywhere, yeah, we can still have a game. We've become a little bit more lax to not cancel games than we have in the past, and I kind of like it because I think sometimes it makes sense if it's a cold weather snow day where it was really cold in the morning. You don't want kids to get on the bus. It's obviously gonna warm up by the time you hit 4 or 5 o'clock, and then you're like, okay, we can get these kids on the bus, and be okay in this temperature, not as cold as it was in the morning. There are some things where I know schools get canceled if the roads are bad in the morning, but the snow has been done for a while. The streets get plowed, not like today, not like the massive snowstorm, but just like a overnight, 3 or 4 inches in ice. But by the time the game comes, the streets have been cleared. You make that call, it's safe to transport. So there are some common sense times where you don't have to cancel the game when you have to cancel school. Although I think a lot of the time it's still that way. It's still like, hey, if we didn't want to send kids there in the school day, probably not safe to send them there 2 hours later in a bus for a school event. So it's one of those things you really have to juggle. I don't envy ADs because you have to juggle what you said, like the revenue thing, but we also are responsible for the kids you're putting on a bus. And you have to kind of weigh that into like, hey, we got to make sure that we're safe with these kids because they're literally our responsibility. When we put them on the bus, we are, legally responsible for them at that point. So you have to kind of make that decision and try to kind of, juggle those two balls in the air at the same time, thinking about, scheduling, revenue, and what it means if you do cancel the game, but also safety. It's got to be hard to juggle those two things.
Greg, I'm interested because you've been on both points of the United States, this beautiful, beautiful country, in Arizona where they don't have snow days typically, and then Buffalo where they have a lot of the snow and the snow days. So your thoughts on kind of how this should be shipped out when it's coming to obviously superintendents, athletic directors, just administrators in general of schools?
Yeah, I mean, growing up in Western New York, I don't think I ever had like a game or even a practice canceled if we had a snow day or something like that. So I kind of have an interesting perspective. Out in Arizona, when I first moved out there, the first like winter season that I covered, they got snow for the first time in like 10 years. And they were able to handle it. And, I don't think school was ever canceled or games were ever canceled or anything like that. But I think Anthony really hit it on the head. It's all about safety. If school is canceled and, those decisions are usually made in the morning, before kids have to, get on the bus and ride to school and everything like that. And oftentimes, games are at 6-7 o'clock in the evening. So the weather can change, it can get warmer, road conditions can improve, everything like that. And I think it's just, those decisions are made constant communication between athletic directors, between coaches, officials, everything like that. And as long as kids are safe, coaches are safe, athletes, everything like that, I think it's okay to play. I like having the openness to be like, all right, obviously we canceled school, but the weather is better. Let's not miss this game. Let's not, take an opportunity away from kids, to play the game they love, play the sport they love, and to give them an opportunity to play. But it all goes back to safety. As long as kids are, safely being able to be transported to games and everything like that, I think it's cool.
Jack is in the comment section and just blowing it up, but he throws in a little 6'7" into the comment section. So Jack, hope you're well. And yeah, 6'7". Where do we go from 6'7"? Like, how do we bounce back from 6'7"? Like, it means nothing. It is nothing. It's just kind of a piece of our history now here in America. There we go. Next topic. I'm kind of in the same boat as you guys when it comes to, let's just be honest. It should be continuously about the safety of the kids, the coaches, the fans as well. I heard that a lot of the 2-hour delay and the cancellations are based on like how many walkers you have coming to your school. Have you guys heard that before?
I have not. No.
That was one of the things that I've been told over the past couple of years. And, based on the road conditions, how far, like Beaver Local has like 100-mile radius that kids come in from. That's why they get a lot of 2-hour delays and cancellations. There's a lot of schools in the south of, Columbiana County that are like that because they have a lot of kids and more open than necessarily Youngstown or, going up the up Route 11 to Ashtabula. So like, that's interesting to me because usually I thought it was, oh, okay, well, is it depending on the hills? Is it what is it dependent on? And it's the walkers and the radius apparently that you have. There's obviously a lot of schools with open enrollment now that the parents are driving their kids to the school. So there's a little bit more safety, but parents super frustrated sometimes. They're like, and I think it's more along the lines of they don't want to drive their kid to school as opposed to, anything else in the safety of the roads. It's like they don't want to do it in general. So, interesting. Yeah. And I don't want to be an administrator and make that decision because that's tough.
That brings up a good question because I've always had, because open enrollment, like if you are, let's say you're open enrolled at like just throw out South Range, but you live in Girard and for some reason Girard's closed, but South Range isn't. You're like, well, my area is not exactly safe to travel in because Girard canceled, but I still have to go to school because I go to South Range. That gets kind of iffy. I don't know if that like counts as an excused absence. If your home district is canceled and you have to find a way to get to your open enrollment district. Do you know how that? Does anyone know how that works? Because that's been
if your home district is canceled, but you have to find a way.
So you're a South Range student, but you're open enrolled, so you live in Girard. I'm just throwing the two schools out there.
Right.
Girard's canceled, so it's not safe in Girard for some reason. But South Range says, "Hey, we're good down here in Canfield. You can come to school." But you still have to find a way to get through Girard, which is obviously not good enough to go to school.
I think that's part of the open enrollment,
right? That's what you sign up for, right?
That's kind of what you sign up for.
Sorry about it. Yeah, I mean, we are obviously. We've never had that scenario, but if South Range is open, guess what? Z-Man's going to school. Yeah. Like we'll bust out the tank to get him there. Yeah. I guess, but
I think everything is so like close together, not necessarily close, but like everyone's gonna kind of see the same type of weather, if you know what I mean. Unless you live in Holland and you're open enrolled at like Austintown Fitch or something. Right. Like that's the only like thing I could see because there's kind of that that snow belt up in Holland, up in that area of Warren. But everything's so close together. I feel like a lot of the school districts kind of experience the same type of weather. So I don't know if that's ever been a problem. I wonder.
I mean, we've learned very quickly that if Poland closes, South Range is minutes behind. So Poland's always that first domino that falls, and we're like, okay, here it comes. But like East Palestine, you see, there's the same thing. You go Beaver Local, East Liverpool, then it's like Wellsville, Southern, and then East Palestine will come along right after there. Usually the Crestview, Columbiana, Leetonia cluster is that. But the thing that, and I'm going to really show my age here at just a couple weeks away from 41. But man, I'll tell you, there was nothing like being, staying up, or I guess getting up early, like really early, to see that ticker on channel 21. And you're waiting, and there was no like internet to go on and see if your school was canceled. You had to wait like it was the NFL draft.
Right.
And like they get for me going to East Palestine, it was you get through. I always turned it on and they were like on F. So you had to wait the full scale of all the way around. But you're like sitting there like you were about to get drafted to the National Football League. And then you see it and like you go immediately right back to bed. But you're so excited that you don't have school that you can't sleep. Like these kids will never know that because it's updated on apps and everything like that. Is that a bummer? Like, is that something that this generation like is going to miss out on because they don't have that sense of excitement and element of we did it?
I mean, I think so. I mean, I always remember like when I was in high school, middle school, and everything like that. I always remember like the battle like the night before. It's like, all right, we're getting killed with snow right now. There's no chance that we're having school tomorrow. I'm staying up. I'm playing video games all night long. I'm watching TV, doing whatever. And then sometimes you would have to go to school the next day.
Oh, yeah.
Like, all right, you gotta play that battle. But I was the same way when I was growing up. I mean, I always enjoyed seeing the ticker across the bottom. It's like, all right, immediately like call best friend. What are we doing today for the snow day? All that type of stuff. I think it's a special memory that you have from like when we were kids and everything like that. And I don't know exactly if they get that now.
I remember
I was talking to my little niece last night, and they had and that was at like 6-7 o'clock, and they knew that they didn't have school the next day already. So they were like,
I remember getting tricked so many times by Southern Local because it was right before South Range and then South. So I'd be like, South, yes, let's go. No, Southern Local.
Always got dinged. Southern Local and the Southern Columbiana counties will always get their day. And again, people, the joke was always Beaver Local. Whenever
they were always closed,
always off. Like if it rained, Beaver Local got a 2-hour delay.
We're off.
Like, okay. Like, all right. But now that you're an adult and you understand that they've got 100 miles of a radius that they're pulling kids in from just in their district alone. Okay, that's a little bit more like I get it. And as a parent, and when you drive in Calcutta, even just to get to was it Turkana, like the golf course, on a beautiful day, you're sitting there like, oh boy, that is dicey. So imagine
I think
a little
Beaver
bit
Local is also on a hill too, so it's like, it's even harder to get to in the bad weather.
Gary, I mean, we're not saying anything bad. I mean, that's just what it was. Like everybody,
come on.
It was a standing joke from that standpoint of, okay, we know Beaver Local is closed because somebody's shower was running too long or something. It was what it was, and now you understand because there's a general like consensus of, okay, go drive in that radius, that district, and understand that even if it sprinkles, there's a good chance that the roads are probably more hazardous than necessarily anywhere else. So Gary chiming in. It's good to hear. Hey, we got some commenters. Means people got some time off today.
Everyone's home and relaxing.
The whole high school was like dodging water buckets.
Dodging water buckets in the hallway. See, I mean, that's not a good scenario either, but way better than probably what we're looking at right now outside. This was they're saying the biggest snowstorm, they said in 5 years, the most snow we've received in one kind of dumping in 5 years. But this is the biggest one I can remember since the 2010 Snowmageddon. Greg, what about you?
I mean, I remember being in so I went to undergrad at Slippery Rock, and they were known for like never closing class. And we had I think it was like maybe 2012 was the polar vortex, or 2013 maybe. That was, I mean, just from I don't think there was a ton of snow, but just from like a coldness perspective, like that was huge. And I remember we didn't have to go to class that day, and everyone was like, up in arms because it was such like a rare occurrence. But yeah, I mean that was probably the last big one that I remember in a way.
It's funny because I remember getting a day off in college, and they don't typically give days off in college at universities, right? Because and all you're paying for this, and how much are you losing if you have a snow day? Shut up, dude. Like no, it doesn't. People are not concerned about what they're losing in that day because, I mean, college is different than high school, right? Not everybody goes to college classes. They should. Not everybody goes to their college classes every single day. They should. I'm going to put that out there. Just make sure you should go. They don't go every day. But I remember people just absolutely, you're paying $30,000 a year, and if you miss one day, okay, raise your hand if you care at all, because I was like, dude, it's canceled. Let's go. Let's find something to do. Like, and then for that one day, that snow day, no matter if it's high school, elementary school, college, as a grown-up, you try to fit 28 hours of stuff into that 24-hour period because you're never going to get it again. It is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Remember the movie Snow Day?
No.
Oh yeah, that was
With,
a great movie.
Josh Peck.
Great movie.
Was it an Oscar award winner?
No, I don't think so.
No.
But it was funny. It was the
it was
go-to as a
very
kid.
funny.
You're like, man, I can't wait to get all this done in one snow day.
That's the general consensus, right? I'm sure kids that have snow days today are like, I mean, my son's already like, oh, I'm not going tomorrow. Like, you don't.
Whoa.
You are not Andrew DePaulo, sir. You don't get to call that shot because you don't know the weather. He just thinks because it feels like 6 feet of snow to him. Now, his little sister, even more so, because she was struggling trying to play out in the snow yesterday. Those little legs just chopping around. But I'll tell you this, like, there's a lot of kids that are banking on a snow day tomorrow just because it's going to be temperatures minus.
Yeah,
I don't
feels
have
like.
my thing. Yeah, the feels like is like -6 or something like
The
that.
snow
So
ain't melting anytime soon.
Yeah.
no, and it's hardening up, right? Isn't that how it works? Like the longer it sits, the more it hardens up.
It definitely seemed heavier this morning when I was shoveling than it did yesterday. I will say that.
And by the way, Greg, you and your lovely wife are to be commended and should be given the Purple Heart for what you've been able to do and accomplish. And my goodness, you want to talk about Nobel Peace Prize award winner? Anthony came up short, but Greg, the McAfees came up strong. Love it. And I'm sure your neighbors are very appreciative, even though that you were on a call last night when your poor wife was out there shoveling, scraping the walk.
That's how it goes sometimes.
When you think about kind of the scenario that we're in right now, err on the side of caution if you guys are making the call, or is it all systems go? I mean, Today probably not so much. Today you're probably canceling, but
yeah,
as you turn that clock over into the 27th of January, there's some decisions that need to be made. What kind of things would you do if you were an athletic director or a superintendent from this standpoint, and you knew that you had games stacked up for tomorrow because you already had games canceled today? Do you keep things going because it's the status quo?
I mean, I think it's garnering as much information as you can. I think it's looking at the weather. I think it's having conversations not only within the school district but outside the school district. And it's having like the team or the school you're playing against is having conversations with them.
Yeah.
It's figuring out what the weather's going to be like. Are the roads going to be safe by then? Are we going to be able to drive? Are we like our kids going to be able to get to the school? Everything like that, and then kind of obviously bring all that information together and decide if it would be worth it. But I think I would err on the side of caution. Obviously, you got kids. It's all about safety, as we said, and I would err on the side of caution in my position. I guess if I was in that position, probably won't ever be. But
yeah, I think you almost have to, because like I said, like, you make the wrong decision and you're in a lot of hot water or cold water in this scenario, right? But like, and Greg brought up a good point. There's another AD that's in the conversation too. So like,
yeah,
you could be like, we're going to play. And then the AD could be like, we're not. And you're like, well, I guess we're canceled.
Whose
so
call
there's
is it?
other
Is it the home?
conversations.
Is
There's
it
other
the home AD?
conversations. What?
Is it the home AD that makes that call and then says, "Hey, we're thinking about not doing," and then there have to be an agreement? How does that?
I think it's got to be an agreement.
The ones that have to travel to you are the ones that have to we're safe enough to drive the buses there, right?
I don't know, man.
I think it's got to be an agreement on all parts. I could be very wrong in that nature, but I think you would think it's got to be an agreement on all parts.
Well, guys, we're talking about the cold weather, but it has been the absolute heat of the hardwood that has kept not only us just clamoring for more throughout this entire basketball season, but boy, oh boy, the second half of this season is going to be one for the history books. And one of the things that I'm excited, we brought this out, we debuted it last summer, and we've kind of kept it low profile for a while. But after talking to Drew Carchetti the other day, we wanted to get this relaunched. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sleeper of the Week, brought to you by Sleepy Hollow Sleep Shop. And our first winner this winter and winter, not winner, I guess both technically, is from Hubbard. And ladies and gentlemen, he is a legend, not just on the floor, but on the baseball field, on the football field as well. Your Sleepy Hollow Sleep Shop Sleeper of the Week and winner of the great, what is it? Here, I have it right here. Look at this. We got t-shirts. We got t-shirts.
T-shirts are back.
We're bringing them back. Don't sleep on greatness. Don't sleep on Don't sleep on the couch. Don't sleep on greatness. It is Braden Songer of Hubbard who just drill. I mean, listen, if you guys didn't, oh my gosh, if you didn't have a chance to watch that game, the South Range, there's the t-shirt, by the way. Boom, there it is. Don't sleep on greatness. So if you win the Sleeper of the Week, which is not voted on, it's just kind of given out. You get that little Sleepy Hollow YSN on the back. So blue and white shirt seems to be appropriate for Mr. Songer, who is playing for the Eagles over in Hubbard. But when you think about kind of what the Sleeper of the Week means, it doesn't mean that you're not expected. It's just that you came out of nowhere, right? With a big banger of a game and 30 points against South Range. What a game that Braden Songer had. And believe it or not, Hubbard needed pretty much every one of those 30 points in order to pull that off, because, I mean, it looked like a sleeper of a game as the Hubbard Eagles were up by 21, I believe, at one point at halftime maybe. And then, South Range stormed back. They did full court press. And, what a time that Hubbard had trying to break that press. And eventually prevailed, but Nick Toy fouling out of the game, and he was a big part of that press that South Range was able to just keep creating turnovers. But with the tutelage and the leadership of Braden Songer and Jacob Hayes, the Eagles able to prevail. But your Sleeper of the Week, ladies and gentlemen, Braden Songer with his 30-point performance. I believe that's his second 30-point performance against South Range this year. So impressive, to say the least, as Songer has been better than average, I would say, against the Raiders, as he's averaging over 20 points a game the rest of the season. So congratulations to Braden Songer, your Sleeper of the Week. And you can pick those up, your shirt up, Braden, at Athletics. You're coming to us. All of these people, like, that was the one problem with the Big Dog shirts, is like we can't mail them out. We're not going to lose money on this. There's no way. So if you want the shirt, come on and get it. We'll be at Athletics. You can pick them up right from our HQ. So appreciate it. Congratulations, and we'll see you very soon. So congratulations. And if you have any Sleeper of the Week nominations, send them over to info@ysnlive.com or message our social media, and we will definitely take that under consideration. So if you are a YSN affiliated school, you are already eligible. And it doesn't have to be necessarily just high school. It could be junior varsity. It can be middle school, elementary school, stuff like that. If you're associated with YSN, we want to be able to show it up. So there you go. Oh boy, here we go. We got comments. The legendary Canadian himself, Steven Hemberger, says the blizzard of 93 was a good one. I don't remember that. I was in third grade.
I was 2 years old.
I'm old, so
I was one.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what that makes you.
Yeah, Sean, the Notre Dame fan, doesn't like this.
Yeah.
He doesn't vibe with the Trojans.
I got this because it was supposed to be. Well, I thought it looked on the screen. It looked maroon or at least burgundy, and this thing is
Bright red.
red.
Yeah, barely off.
Fire engine red.
But
So-
that is kind of more like what USC's actual color is, so it makes a little bit more sense.
Okay, Anthony. Well, sorry about it. Okay, I was looking at the screen and I saw it was a little bit dark.
It's before
Okay,
your
so
eye exams, right?
I made an educated decision. When I was, I didn't hear what your smart mouth said. What did you say?
Zinger.
I said it was before your eye exams, right?
Yeah, coming from Helen Keller, that's a hell of a compliment. Miraculously, Anthony can see every girls' basketball game, but he says, "Oh, I can't do boys' basketball because it's a different." Wait a
I
minute.
just did boys on Friday.
Time out. Time out.
I'm doing boys tomorrow too. I've never said that.
Why can't you do baseball?
Oh, I can't see baseball. It's too far away. Ball's too small. It's going about 20 miles an hour faster. Anyway.
I digress. Guys, we've seen some great players, as we just talked about Braden Songer's performance. Who so far has really caught your eye, and who should we be looking at for potential MVP candidates or other superlatives here at YSN? Anthony, I know you've been keeping a close eye on all this stuff, boys and girls. Who's caught your eye so far?
I want to give a big shout out to from Newton Falls. I just had him on Friday. Dallas Dunlap from Newton Falls. He's just a dude, man. They have 2 Dallases on the roster too, so it's real fun. But Dallas Dunlap was one of the guys that, does a lot of the stuff for Newton Falls that I love, because he doesn't get like the big stat lines, but like he's a great defender. He locks people down. He just made Brookfield's life miserable on Friday, and Brookfield came into that game. If they won, they would have been tied for first place. They beat Newton Falls the first time. They had all the reason in the world to be very confident. And the Tigers came in on a 7-game winning streak, and they said what happened the first time at Brookfield, not happening today. And I think Dallas Dunlap was a big reason why. Obviously, Phil Davis on the scoreboard and his stats were a big reason why on the scoring side, but on the defensive side and just the making Brookfield's life just miserable on their offensive end. Dallas Dunlap's a big reason why Newton Falls is doing what they're doing right now. On the boys side.
Interesting. A Dallas Dunlap sighting on the checking out the MVP. I like it. Greg, who do you have kind of looking at from your perspective?
So I saw Mineral Ridge play earlier this year. I think Landon Bingham was still hurt the first time I saw him. Saw them play again this past week against Campbell Memorial. Huge. I mean, I think he provides such a presence for them alongside Chase Moore and a couple other guys that they have. So big shout out to Landon Bingham. He had a buzzer beater at the end of the first quarter in their game against Camel. They got their revenge from that loss earlier this year. So he's kind of been on my radar this past week. Looking forward to seeing what he can do the rest of the year, especially with the Mineral Ridge team as a whole. And then obviously saw Poland and Gerard at the end of the week in that big battle from.
I saw her. He's shoveling again.
Saw Poland play Gerard. A couple of guys that stuck out. Carmine Tucolo, great point guard for them. Runs the offense really well. And then Maddox Purins. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it. Purins. Huge body down low. Really provides a presence in the paint for them. And then you can see Ty pointing out Austin Brown for Cheney. Saw him play against Boardman earlier this year. He's, as he said, he's the engine that makes that team go, with what they have as well. He's definitely got to keep an eye on too.
I'm interested. I mean, there's a lot, more than I thought, I believe, coming into this season of potential MVPs, not just offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year, but potential most valuable players, because we're seeing the level of hoops in basketball in general going up and up and up and up and up and to the right. And that's not just boys, that's for girls as well. Anthony, you've kept obviously a very close eye, better than me, with my eye surgeries into the world of girls hoops. Walk us through who has your eye, other than maybe some of the names that we say each and every week on this program.
On the girls' side, I think one of the girls that you kind of see making a big impact, and you could argue sleeper because maybe she's obviously a freshman, so you didn't really know what you were going to get coming into the season if you weren't in the program. But it's Brooklyn Kosko from Poland. Her and Briella Rowe, both freshmen, have been a big reason why Poland is having this kind of resurgent year where they had 1 year where they weren't the winners of the NE8 for the first time in 7 seasons. Now all of a sudden they're in that conversation again. I think she's a big reason why. Both those freshmen are a big reason why. I think Niles and Sean Elwood's going to love this. I haven't read that comment. I don't know if it's about Niles girls or not, but there's a couple of players on that Niles girls team. They went from, not in the conversation at all in the NE8 last year to all of a sudden now they're right there having a chance. I think they're 2 games back right now with still, a handful of games to play. But you look at, Carrington Stanford or Maddie Yost, both those players are having fantastic seasons for the Dragons. And Niles, like as a team, it could be like the team sleeper because they kind of are shocking the world right now in the NE8, being a team that you really cannot go in and be lazy against. You have to, give Niles your full attention. Girard almost learned that the hard way on Thursday. They were down by a ton. They had to come back and win by 4 at the end. But that would have been a game that would have been devastating for Girard to lose, trying to hold on to that top spot in the NE8 right now. So Niles is a team, and I think Carrington Stanford would be my pick in that team for like a big sleeper that's having a great season. Always a soccer star. We knew what she could do on the soccer field, but now she's coming into her own light on the basketball court this winter and doing a lot of good things for Niles.
So my question for both of you guys is, what makes an MVP? When we crown an MVP in all our sports, what are some of the characteristics that make up that most valuable player of a particular, of YSN? And is it just points, or is it just rebounds, or is it stats? Is it how they carry themselves off the court, on the court? What is it? What makes up an MVP in your mind, Greg?
I think it's consistent production, but I think it's a mix of everything. Obviously, you're going to see the big names who are the players who put the ball through the basket consistently. Jalen Gunther has been doing it all year. Noah Bell, like guys like that. In the football season, we had AJ Pearson kind of lighting up the scoreboard week in and week out for Girard. So you have those type of players who kind of get the recognition for the performances on the field, but you also have players who get a lot of recognition for, roles they play within their team that help that team have success and everything like that. So I think it's a mixture of a little bit of everything. It's production, it's leadership, it's showing up on a nightly basis to fill your role and play that role for your team that leads to success. So I think it's a little bit of everything.
Ant, how about you?
When I look at MVP, I think obviously you have to add the numbers, right? Like you have to have the numbers that's like a given. But there's also like a sense of, if you took that player off that team, what would they look like, kind of thing, And I kind of look at that like if Ursuline didn't have this, or if Crestview didn't have Addison Rhodes, or if Poland didn't have the 2 freshmen I was talking about, or if Niles didn't have Carrington Stanford, you go on and on and on. Like what would that team be without them? What kind of supporting cast do you have? What kind of leader are you on the court? Like, can you really tell that you're one of the big straws that stirs the drink in that program? And then I think there's also a little bit of, not a huge part of it, but sometimes when I'm having a conversation, we've had these MVP conversations for a while. Sometimes if it's like a toss up between 2 players, I'll ask around the coaches that play them, like, what's your opinion on this? Like, do you think that competing against them is MVP quality? Like, do you see the non intangibles when you're playing against them? And sometimes that can become a factor too. Like, what kind of impact you're leaving on the court when you play the game the way that people that aren't necessarily when your own coach has to fight for you, but when other coaches that play against you are also fighting for you, that's a good sign that you're doing things at MVP caliber way.
A quick vote for Sullivan Sandy of Mineral Ridge for MVP. Anthony, she's been outstanding on every facet. Seemingly just continues to get better and better and better. When you think she's reached her peak, she's not even getting started. Pretty good MVP vote there from Sean.
Absolutely. Sullivan Sandy is averaging about 18 points per game right now. And especially in the first half of the season when Mineral Ridge was trying to find some balance on offense, if you took Sullivan Sandy off that team, they weren't scoring a lot and they were not going to be able to win the games they won. Now, second half of the season, especially after that Western Reserve loss, you're starting to see their offense become a lot more balanced. In their last win, they had 4 players that had 8 or more points. So you're starting to see a lot more balance on offense from Mineral Ridge. But to get them through that first half of the season, it was Sullivan Sandy scoring 20 points every kind of night. to get them enough points to win the game. So Sullivan Sandy is a great pick. In the MVP category, I think Jenna Treveri from Canfield is a great pick. We're obviously going. Addison Rhodes is a great, awesome pick as well. You can't no one's gonna forget about her. It's almost a given that she's in the conversation. But there are girls outside of that I think are also in that conversation for MVP to make it not necessarily a runaway for Addison Rhodes.
Kylie Ramsey at Western Reserve, no doubter.
Yeah, and it's a two-headed monster for Western Reserve because you could go Kylie Ramsey, you can go Quincy Miller, who has every 3-point record now for Western Reserve. She broke the career record last week against Sebring. She broke the game record for Western Reserve, hitting 8 threes in a game. So you could go Kylie Ramsey, you could go Quincy Miller for Western Reserve. You wouldn't be wrong either way.
It's incredible. I mean, we're seeing a lot of good ball coming out of the MVAC, and that's exciting because that's a conference that has hung their hat on football for a while now, and we're starting to see basketball, both boys and girls, starting to ramp up. Obviously, volleyball with Crestview has been the belle of the ball, no pun intended, with what they've been able to do over the last forever. But spring sports as well. I mean, we've got some great spring MVAC action coming up, but basketball seems to be taking center stage here in 2025, 2026. When you think about these winter kind of sports, it's interesting because there's so much fluctuation. Should I just do this? So much fluctuation with kind of, you think cyclical a lot of times, but the MVAC has been able to kind of pick up their game, and a lot of people looking at it saying that MVAC can probably compete with a lot of the other conferences with some of the teams that they have in both boys and girls sports. Greg, when you think about being able to lift the level of play in a conference, not just at a school or in a district, in a conference, what does that say about conferences as we continue to look and see where the conference shift is going to be? We've already seen some schools from the MVAC getting ready to pull out in 2027. Do you see a potential kind of MVAC trying to stick together because they're having so much success right now?
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of schools in that conference that are having a ton of success. I mean, look at McDonald. I mean, I think they're still undefeated at this point in the year, the boys team. And you have teams playing up to high levels, Mineral Ridge in there as well. So you got a bunch of teams. I mean, I could see them trying to stick together with what they have right now, especially, what they, did in the football season and how interesting, how it kind of came down to the wire, at the end of the season. I would highly, I would understand if they wanted to stick together, given the success that they have had over the last couple of years.
And how about you?
When I'm sorry, can you repeat what I honestly
it's a
oh, okay.
I feel so embarrassed. What was the question? my Greg's answer made me lose my train of thought.
Oh, it's just from a standpoint of can you see the MVAC wanting to stay together based on the success of the conference? Because we've seen a couple of these schools withdraw moving forward in 2027. Will we see the MVAC really try to tighten things up, or will we see, kind of like we saw in 2017, a lot of different conferences start kind of shifting and building from anew?
Now, I think the MVAC has a couple of opportunities to maybe get some schools that are looking for ways out of their own conference. Back into the MVAC. So, yeah, the conference right now is so good. You look at the boys' side. When you think of teams that can make, you could see making a deep tournament run, you got a couple of them in the MVAC on both sides. You got, on one side, LeBray, Brookfield, Newton Falls, all very good basketball teams in the great tier on the boys' side that could all probably make a really deep tournament run. On the Scarlet side, Western Reserve, McDonald both look like they could really cause some havoc in the tournament. You look at the girls' side, you got Western Reserve and Middle Ridge are on different divisions, so they can both make tournament runs and not even have to run into each other. On the gray side, obviously, you have Crestview that can make a run, but I think LeBray is also a dangerous team out of the grade tier. Their only big loss this year was to Crestview. So I think LeBray is also a team in the MVAC. So you look at the teams on both sides of the conference, on both sides of girls and boys. why would you want to give that up when you have so many teams, and especially we're just talking about basketball season, but you go to the other sports too. So many teams that have a legitimate chance to make deep tournament runs. Like, why would you want to give that up when you're kind of swimming into success right now?
Do you feel? I do. I feel that all these conferences are based around football, and I think they should be looking at the different schools, sports, and obviously seasons as well. Football is the greatest revenue generator. It basically funds all the rest of the programs. We all understand that. But when it comes to you're going to play football games no matter what, unless you don't have a football team. And that's some of the parity that's happening right now is some of these conferences will not let schools into a conference unless they have a football team or a football program, which there is, I mean, depending on who you ask, there is a lot of potential for some fall off in some of these programs around the Valley and around, the area, the region that we represent here at YSN with football teams. We've already seen some schools dip off into the 8-man football when you're talking about Sebring, and there's whispers about other schools that are looking to follow that path. What do conferences do? And I know we're going down a slippery slope, no pun intended, with the icy weather outside. What do conferences do when you start seeing some of these smaller schools fall off with no football programs, but that is kind of in their bylaws of being a school that's in the conference?
Yeah, I think one of the things you have to do is you have to kind of look in the mirror and be like, hey, is that school necessarily the best fit for us? Is it the best fit for them? I mean, I think there are some schools that kind of don't want to go into the murky water of looking for a new conference, so they kind of stay where they're comfortable. But then you look around and you go like, am I really a fit in this conference in all sports, but football especially, since we're talking, am I a fit in this conference? And I think a lot of those teams could answer, no, I'm not a fit in this conference, and maybe find ways to get out of it. I know there's always going to be backlash when you leave a conference because it's like, well, that's our conference game. But if you don't have football anyway, I think there'd be a lot less backlash if a team that didn't have football already backed out of a conference and said, you know what, we're going to go try to find something that we fit into a little bit better, because now, you're not losing that football game. I think there was a lot of anger when you lose a football game in a conference. And as right or wrong as that might be, like, you lose a football game, that's almost like losing, a huge chunk of that revenue that you're talking about. That's a huge percentage of it just off the board. You have to go find another opponent, which isn't exactly easy. So I think, especially if you're a team that doesn't have a football program and you're looking at a conference full of teams that do, it might be time to self-reflect a little bit and be like, maybe I don't fit in this conference. And I think on the other side, the conference can look at that with not animosity and be like, let's help you find a place where you belong, because you have been with us for so long a little bit. Let's not be
this is the perfect world scenario, Anthony,
let's not be
right?
let's not be mad at you if you do leave the conference, because obviously you've given us your time and you've tried a lot to fit into the conference. So in the perfect world, you love to be able to look and be like, you know what, I don't fit here. And you love the other schools in the conference to be like, we understand that you don't, and we'll try to help the transition as best we can. But that's obviously, not necessarily the norm. It never happens that way.
I don't know if we'd ever see, unless it's on PBS. I don't think we'd ever see that actually happen.
The perfect world scenario.
That is a happy Anthony Hartwig right there, ladies and gentlemen.
He's enjoying the snow day.
Mr. Bryson.
I want to know what's in that bottle. That's what I want to know.
My own concoction.
For you, Greg, I mean, should there be more weight placed on the other sports than just football, given that there is more parity in seemingly every other sport?
I mean, when it comes to conferences, you got to remember, I think, when schools get grouped together and everything, they often are grouped together because of, a couple different things. Obviously, philosophy, location, geographic location, size, and school, and everything like that. It's not perfect. It's not perfect across the board in any means. But when you join a conference, you obviously have like-minded things, like-minded approach, like-minded thought process of, wanting to compete against each other in multiple sports. Sometimes that includes, one or two sports. You want to make it consistent. You want to make it easy. You do it across the board to make it easy for everyone. So we have these blocked off schedules in every single sport up and down the grade levels. So when one of those schools doesn't have football, it kind of changes things up. So I think when conferences come together, when schools join certain conferences, you have an agreement or a like-minded approach to we're going to be playing against each other in every single sport. When one of those schools doesn't have that sport, it kind of makes it difficult on everyone else, and it's not necessarily as easy as it was to kind of come together and put a schedule together.
Let me pitch an idea that I've been thinking about, that I've talked to other coaches about, that I think would be a success and would bring not necessarily parity, and it has to be kind of ironed out a little bit. So maybe you guys, not only in the comment section, but you guys could help me help out or figure this out. But county championships are something that if you deleted the conferences and you just focused on playing teams in your own county, obviously there's a little bit of disparity of size of schools, especially when you're talking about Mahoning County. But in Columbiana County, you've got, Salem, I believe Salem, East Liverpool would be the bigger schools, but I don't necessarily think that makes them the better team across all. Would you guys welcome county championships into, the state of Ohio and what they could do, and playing teams and putting a lot of weight on playing teams in your own county, as opposed to, having to drive 45 minutes to an hour to play teams that are your quote unquote size?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be a cool idea. I mean, I'm pretty sure they do that in track and field right now. I mean, I think you have the Trumbull County meet, you have the Mahoning County meet, you have I think there's a Columbiana County meet as well. So they do it in, a sport like track and field. I think it'd be pretty cool, a pretty new, innovative way to kind of put weight on, local matchups, the rivalries and everything like that, of where it's, obviously where you're going for bragging rights in the area, no matter the size of the school or anything like that. I definitely think it would be pretty cool.
I don't think you'll ever see it replace conferences, but what you could see is almost like a kind of a dual thing where you play your conference schedule, but you're also, especially in the bigger sports, maybe not football, you can't really fit all that into football. But in the other sports, you could see like, hey, your non-conference games, let's keep them in county and see who's the county champion at the end of it. Almost like the teams that play in both, EOAC and the OVAC, or they play in, the Buckeye 8 plus the OVAC. They're fighting for two things, and there's a tournament at the end of the season for the OVAC. That really doesn't carry a lot of weight when it comes to the EOAC or the Buckeye 8, whatever you're in. But it is something you play in, and it's more games that you get on your schedule. So I do think there's an avenue to kind of do that and find ways to see a kind of a beta test of what would that look like if you started with that, supplement those non-conference games in your county and try to do that and see if it works. And if it does, then you can explore even more and just be like, well, it's working so well, let's do away with the conferences altogether and just make them counties. So there's ways to beta test that.
I would love it. I think just the geographic precedence and bragging rights would be awesome. Now you're looking at potentially some schools that would never compete for a championship unless they up their game a little bit. And I think this would give them, hey, we're playing these kids and we need to get better. And it starts at the bottom up, as it does in every program. It starts at the youth levels, and then you coach them up. And hopefully by the time they get there, and people always pull and say, oh, open enrollment and parochial schools, it gives them a sense of I think it gives them a sense of belonging in their community. And it's a lot harder to pluck away those players if they love playing for the colors that they've played for a long, long time. And there's a lot of pride in it. So it's harder to get those players away from their district that they reside in. And obviously, the complaint at the high school level is players that are transferring and open enrolling to other schools in high school. You can't help what happens in the elementary level. That was a decision based purely on business and what was available. But you just never know. You never know what people are deciding, why they're deciding. I just think from a conference perspective, it would be super cool just to see in the county who's the best of the best in every sport and not having to guess. For instance, right now, McDonald could be the best team in Trumbull County. Can anybody dispute that?
I mean, they're by record, no. I mean, I haven't seen all the schools in Trumbull County either. I've seen a few of them, but I think, I mean, they got to be up there. I mean, they got guys all over the place. They're obviously having a
because
lot
you'd
of
have a chance
success.
for them to play like a team like Warren Harding. You'd have a chance
Yeah,
for them to see them play, the Howlands of the world, bigger teams that they wouldn't play normally in their regular season schedule. But you almost have to play them for the county bragging rights. So that would be fun.
Yeah, it would be really fun.
John Armini popping in and saying, I think that sports specialization has hurt the high school sports more than the recruiting. I agree. I think in a world of, and this is what people don't necessarily believe us when we tell them this, but we've got honest conversations with college coaches and recruiters that say they want to see high school athletes play as many sports, if not multiple sports, as possible. And there's a lot of parents that say, it's costing me this much to specialize. I can't do that in 3 or 4 sports. I don't think you necessarily have to go all aboard in all the sports, but you just don't specialize in one, especially the small schools. And I'm not trying to put words in Coach Armini's mouth, but the small schools need those players as much as anybody because you have a less of a pool to choose from. So I would agree and say, hey, more players need to play more sports, especially if you're in football, let's say a D7 school. You need to be playing multiple sports if you can, because it actually helps you with your recruiting numbers at the next level, as opposed to, hey, I'm going to get noticed in this sport. Agree or disagree?
I think that's absolutely correct. And anyone, you look at some of the best players in every level of every sport. Like some of them play multiple sports. LeBron, everyone loves LeBron. He played football in high school.
Not everybody loves LeBron.
Multiple sport athlete, right? So Patrick Mahomes played baseball. Josh Allen, baseball. Tom Brady, baseball. There are players that when you play multiple sports, you kind of get this idea of finding different ways to do things, looking at things from different angles, and how can I, learning from different people. It makes you a more well-rounded athlete when you're able to find things from every kind of aspect of sports and maybe draw it into the sport that you're specializing in. Now, there's the caveat, like if you're elite of the elite, maybe specialize, right? If you're going to be like the All-American and you're going to Oklahoma to play softball, like
what's the percentage of that?
Very like that. Once again, caveat, which means it's very, very small, very, very small. So, but like that's the only time I would like not even question someone that wanted to do that. I would be like, okay, you're that 0.1%. You can get away with that. But most of the kids, you can't. Even most of the kids in our area that are maybe D1, they're multiple sport athletes. You look at Kylie Folkwine, Kayleana Ray, and Fitch. They're both multiple sport athletes. They both play volleyball and basketball. You look at other D1 athletes that have played multiple sports. Nick Ryan, played multiple sports. There's a lot of players that are going to the next level for one sport that's obviously their main sport that still play multiple sports in high school, and it benefits them. So I think anyone that sits there and tells you that it's not a benefit and coaches aren't really looking for that, they're not looking at the big picture of things. And all you have to do is look around and see the evidence. And all the players in our area that are going to college to play one sport, but they played multiple sports in high school, and how much that helped them.
Greg?
Yeah, I mean, I love, like, when I'm talking with kids and everything like that, like, I love having the conversations about, like, maybe it's a football player who, wrestles in the winter and runs track and field in the spring, and just kind of how they, maybe they're mainly a football player, but how those two sports kind of play their way into his football approach, or his grip on the football field and his speed from track and field and everything like that. Like, I love having those conversations with multiple athletes. I mean, growing up, I was one of, I don't know, maybe 7, 8 multiple sports athletes in my school, because we had a lot of kids that specialized in baseball or specialized in basketball or something like that. So I played soccer, basketball, and baseball when I was growing up, because I just wanted to stay active. And I think it's a benefit, because you stay active, and these skills that you learn translate to each sport that you're playing. It keeps you active in the summertime too, when you're kind of bouncing around and everything like that. I've always been a proponent of, playing multiple sports. I think it helps because you never know when you're going to get looked at. A coach might come to a track and field meet and you're a football player. And I know I've heard a lot of coaches talk about how they recruit kids through other sports and have discovered kids through other sports. So I think it's a huge component in high school sports to be able to play multiple, and it definitely benefits if you have one sport that you want to focus on. I think it helps in terms of just kind of translating skills from other things that have different benefits.
Well, and one of the things you think about Antonio Gates, who the Chargers NFL Hall of Famer, he was a basketball player.
He was a basketball player,
and
so was Tony Gonzalez.
Jimmy Graham.
Okay.
Gonzalez played for Cal.
We don't need to bring in our favorite teams into this discussion, but they get the idea, the gist of it. What, Anthony? What did we shorten?
I was just saying. I was just trying to give more examples. All right.
Just happened to be a Kansas City Chief.
He finished his career in Atlanta. He ditched us for money.
Deion Sanders.
There you go. Michael Jordan played baseball.
This show stinks. This show I don't know why people watch this stupid show. To wrap up our discussions today, guys, obviously a couple big games happened yesterday in the world of professional football. Broncos fall to the Patriots, who are once again in the Super Bowl. And then on the other side, a barn burner in Seattle, where the Seahawks will tower over the Rams. Ends the season. Does it end the career of one Matthew Stafford? We will have to wait and see on that. But Seahawks, Patriots, Super Bowl 60. Do you care? And who are you rooting for? Or who are you rooting against? Might be the better question. We'll start with Anthony Hartwick.
I'm rooting for the Seahawks. I think there's going to be some major PTSD for Seahawks fans, and but I don't think any of those players were there last time they were in the Super Bowl. Doubt it. But there's still, the fans have a lot of PTSD of playing the Super Bowl, playing the Patriots in the Super Bowl. So maybe there's a little bit of redemption there for them. And I think Sam Darnold is one of those guys, and there's a couple of them in the NFL this year who were kind of dead in the water and kind of found a rejuvenated career when they left where they were at, and found, different ways to succeed. So I like stories like that. And I think Drake May is another story. Like, first couple of years in the NFL, 4-13, people probably kind of, okay, he's a bust. Let's just forget about him. And here he is having an MVP caliber season. Sorry, Sean. He was a Rams fan. But I think,
you, Sean.
Sean's got a lot of heartbreak this week. I mean, geez.
Sean's going through it, man. But yeah, like, not by much, but I think I'm rooting for the Seahawks a little bit. I think Sam Darnold might be the first quarterback to lead the NFL in turnovers and still find a way to, get his team to the Super Bowl, because he did lead the league in turnovers given up to the other team. But he played as perfect as he could in that NFC Championship game. So sometimes when you have it's about when you have the perfect game, not how many perfect games you have.
Is that like cumulative for a team, or is that just for the person? Because I have to believe that like Cleveland has to be up there.
No, I think that like Sam Darnold turnovers responsible for.
No disrespect to the Browns, but that like they had a lot of turnovers this season. They didn't score a lot of points, but they've had multiple quarterbacks. So
right,
I get it. All right, Greg, what about you?
Well, as a Bills fan, I am disgusted to see the Patriots back in the Super Bowl.
It's been 5 years.
so I will be rooting for the Seattle Seahawks. That about sums it up for me. Like Anthony, I really, I'm kind of, happy to see Sam Darnold have his success. Obviously, he went through it in New York and bounced around and everything so to see the success he's had kind of the last 2 years, last year in Minnesota, this year in Seattle, it's really cool to see. And then, after the changes the Seahawks made in the offseason, I mean, obviously they traded away DK Metcalf to DJ's Pittsburgh Steelers. And Jackson Smith and Jigba kind of comes up and proves to be who he is. And I think he had like 7 catches for over 100 yards in the first half last night or something like that, which is crazy numbers, crazy stuff. So I will be rooting for the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. I hope they send the Patriots home packing. And that's just where I'm at.
Defense wins championships. I think the Seahawks are far superior.
Yeah.
On especially that side of the football, and the dark side, that's what they're calling themselves, the dark side.
I mean, I will say that Patriots D line is nasty. They're mean, but the Seahawks are very good.
I mean, for Mike Swinehart, I'm rooting for the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know Ty's out there. So what about me? My team has 6 Super Bowl championships, and I'd like to keep it locked as at the top.
Yeah.
We're not trying to be, one behind if that's the only thing I get out of this season, which is probably likely the only thing I'll get out of this season. But if this season continues its course, it'll probably be the Patriots by like 30. But you're going to want to watch the Super Bowl on Channel 21 WFMJ. Just saying, tune in early and stay there late, because there might be something you want to see. With that, we give you our Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark, presented by Joe Dickey Electric. They're everything electrical, and just like YSN, they are available 24/7, 365. Hopefully they're available today, because we aren't. Here is your Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark. Answer goes to Ronnie.
My spark today goes to over the last couple of weeks, I've found a YouTube channel that I like. It's called Cinemas Therapy, and anyone knows me on the show. I'm a movie buff, like movies, but it breaks down kind of psychology of characters in movies. So there's a therapist and a filmmaker that kind of do it together. It's really, really cool to kind of dive into real life problems you can go through that are kind of expressed in film, and kind of break through, like, if you're dealing with this is the things that you can work through, and then also breaking down at the same time, the filmmaking process and what makes those scenes or those characters or whatever it may be so pivotal and so successful, and why it works so well. It's a really cool channel, and if you're kind of bored in the snow day and want something to kind of check out, I would recommend it. Put my stamp of approval on it. So that's my spark.
Nope. I would rather watch Hallmark movies in January than watch whatever you just talked about, buddy.
To each its own. It's all good.
Yes.
We all have our stuff.
Greg, go ahead. Save us.
Obviously, at times like this, when the weather is like this, not everyone can stay home and, in our warm houses and enjoy the snow from the inside. Obviously, people out there, plowing roads, going to, emergency jobs. I don't know what you would call them, like nurses, doctors, everything like that. So during this time, want to give a shout out to all those people who are out there, plowing the roads, making them safe for everyone to kind of get around at this time of the year.
Way to go, Greg.
Attaboy, Greg. Way to bring it back. Way to bring us back. Mine, I'm still. The Steelers just are the gift that keeps on giving this year, with Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf. Then you make it through. You take a deep breath and you think rejuvenation is on the way. And there's something to look forward to other than my beloved Pittsburgh Pirates and the Pittsburgh Penguins. And just when you think that the things are about to get better, potentially they get a lot worse. And you go and you have a nepotist hire like Mike McCarthy, who I just saw his resume and they're banging on. He's an offensive-minded coach who has had success primarily against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And maybe it's the best hire since Bill Cowher or Chuck Noll, but for me, I think there were better options out there if you just stood pat for another 48 hours. I'm a little bit nervous. I'm not in love with it. You can prove me wrong next year. But the fact that we're already talking about Aaron Rodgers coming back to Pittsburgh and not turning the page is a little bit troublesome. So this could be more of the same from one Mike to another. Just because this Mike is from Pittsburgh, apparently it's going to be better. He likes Primantis. Great. Maybe he's had a couple too many of them. I don't know. We'll find out.
That didn't seem very much like a spark.
Sparks don't have to be positive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is a negative spark.
I'm a new guy here.
Sparks can be whatever you want it to be.
8 and 9. 8 and 9. That's what I'm calling.
Have you seen the AI photo of McCarthy at Primanti's with a Yingling in one hand and like a cigarette over his ear?
No.
It's the greatest thing ever.
To say that I was less than enthused is a vast understatement. I'm so disappointed. And he'll probably go win a Super Bowl championship, and then he'll be like Tomlin. He'll be there forever. I mean, and I was a Tomlin backer, but geez Louise, man. Underwhelming. Oh, Sean's got a spark here.
Yeah. Reminding us all that spring is coming.
126 days until the Scrappers take the field, baby, right here on YSN. And we'll be here for it. And looking forward to some warm weather. Hope you are too. Hope you stay warm, stay safe. Again, don't forget, tonight, all games, all broadcasts on YSN suspended. So if there are any games going on, they will not be on YSN. A much-deserved little break for our announcers, but much more to do with the safety of them and making sure that we can do one tomorrow. For today, that's going to do it for us. For Greg McAfee, for Anthony Ronald Hartwig, my name is DJ Yoakley. This has been YSN Live for the 26th of January, 2026. Again, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay locked in to ysnlive.com. Got all the stories, stats, standings, all that stuff. You can always go on our YouTube page, check out the highlights. You can check out literally everything, the interviews that we've had, both posted and the ones that are kind of slipping through the cracks. We've got them all right here on ysnlive.com. Promise you, we'll be better tomorrow. And as we always say, gentlemen, may sports be with you.
And you, my friend.
YSN thanks you for watching this presentation of your sports network. For stories, stats, and more, go to ysnlive.com.